there's all these stories about, guys over in Macedonia who are running these fake news sites.
Number 24 is Content Farms in Macedonia.
Бидејќи ако се направи грешка, таа ќе биде кобна. Нема враќање назад.
So Europe need to remain more sexy lady in the world. Ајде, мајката!
Господа ја чува Македонија и низините граѓани.
Gotta remember, war is the natural state of mankind, not peace. It's always been that way throughout all of human history. So...
No, it's yeah, sure, wars are normal and natural, but this one, we're not sure who's going to win and how wide it will go. So we've stopped being accustomed to serious peer country wars, and this one is beginning to look like something like that.
Yeah. Anyway, tell me when you're ready to.
Yeah, I started.
3, 2, 1. We'll discuss all this and more on this episode of the Macedonian Content Farmers Podcast. I'm Jason Miko, coming to you from the foot of the Catalina Mountains in Oro Valley, Arizona.
And this is Cvetin in Skopje, Macedonia.
It has been a long time, Cvetin. It's been about 2 months, I think. This is episode 199, so we've got to plan something big for 200.
Yeah.
Today is Thursday, April the 9th, 2026. We are, tomorrow, of course, is Good Friday for Macedonian Orthodox Christians and many other Orthodox Christians around the world, Easter Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we can get this up on the various social media platforms today to not interfere with Good Friday. But we don't have anything really planned, as we kind of talked pre-podcast about this, but we thought we'd talk about the big thing that's going on in the world, the war in Iran, and reactions to it as well, because I kind of know what reactions are here on this side of the Atlantic and some parts of the EU. But why don't we start with this? So anything we say right now, and again, we're recording this morning my time, Thursday the 9th, late afternoon your time. Anything we say right now, by the time we get this up and running on the platforms, could have changed in terms of the actual situation on the ground. So why don't we talk about what's the reaction in Macedonia? First of all, economically, I know gas prices are up and the government suspended the gas fuel tax, I believe, for a period of time.
Yeah, we cut down the value-added tax on gas and also the import duty, which shaved off like maybe 10 dinars from the price, but still the price is 10 dinars higher, and it would have been 20. Or maybe even more. So about up by sixth from the original price, maybe. Diesel is especially high. The diesel prices went up especially high. Other than that, still.
And of course, when gas prices, diesel, petrol, fuel, whatever you want to call it, go up. It's not just people putting that into their tanks where it hurts, but those increases in price affect all other products as well, because you got to transport them, and so eventually prices go up across the board.
Yeah, the government has been warning supermarkets.
And I don't know if you've noticed that in the grocery stores, the markets there or not.
Not tremendously yet, but it's still early, I think. And the government has been warning the retail chains that...
Lost you there.
Just a sec. Hello?
Yeah, I lost you there.
I have problems with all the headsets, but I think this will work. The government has been warning the retail chains not to get too greedy, not to make unjustified, in their words, price hikes. But yeah, this carries on, it will be, all bets are off, we have fuel for 60, 70 days in reserves, and so far, there are no reports that the farmers are delaying the sowing, the planting, or whatever. Truckers are operating normally, everything is normally supplied, but, this can't carry on forever. We'll have to
No, it can't carry on forever. And the good news is it won't, because, nothing ever does in something like this. There's always going to be, and disruptions like this, and let's call it a disruption for right now, especially when we're talking about, because the war has disrupted the flow of oil and other goods in the Strait of Hormuz, which about 20% of the world's oil comes through there. Disruptions like this also create new opportunities. So I believe the Saudis are looking at building or increasing the flow of oil from east to west, from the strait over to the other side.
Building a new artificial island shaped like a pipeline, or like a F-35 or something?
Yeah. That I'm not sure about, but anyway, we're looking at different ways of combating this. Of course, the United States we're energy independent, so we import very little oil, if any, but still, because oil is a global commodity, we don't get to keep prices low on barrels of oil here. They go up, West Texas Intermediate and Brent crude go up at this, they're the same prices around the world, so that's just kind of the way it works. But yeah, so there is a temporary pain in this. What is the public? Because I'm curious about this. I haven't followed. What is the public reaction in terms? And I guess if there are any polls out, you can cite those.
No polls. So of course the government came out in support of the American intervention and would condemn Iran's attacks on the smaller Arab countries, which we've been courting for investments in the last years, and some of our dignitaries like Zoran Zaev have themselves invested into the in Dubai real estate, which is extremely funny at the moment that the real estate prices have crashed with the Iranian attacks.
Yes.
So we kind of ignored the American-Israeli attacks with no condemnation here, but condemnation of the response attacks, and the prime minister and the foreign minister would do phone calls with the United Arab Emirates guy, with I think the Kuwaiti guy, to express, I guess, solidarity or something. Not at the level of Serbia, for example. Vučić even flew to the United Arab Emirates because he has tremendous investments in real estate. We were just in the early stages of discussing this, hopefully, but okay, I don't know, maybe does the war make it more likely or less likely they come here? I'm not sure. Maybe they actually do come to invest, running away from the region, trying to put their money outside of the reach of the missiles. But it's, that's the least of our concerns. Now the public was dismayed. I mean, there is no support for the war. People were kind of expecting that Trump would be like a peace figure, like would put an end to the war in Russia, Ukraine, and Gaza. And okay, I guess he did put an end to the war in Gaza, but then doubled it, tripled it in its intensity with Iran. So yeah, people are, really dismayed from what's happening.
And why? And would that include the left in Macedonia?
There were some left-wing parades on, no wars for oil, or what was it? Somebody was in parliament. Oh yeah, Rutte was in parliament, the NATO Secretary General, and the Levica guys came out and protested his visit performatively. I mean, funnily enough, because at the moment the social democratic left is, ignored, dismissed by the U.S. at the moment, which is very unusual for them, very strange, and Dewey as well. So they both are actually, the political level, they're very supportive of the war. They expressed support for the U.S. Philip Chiven the opposition leader made a memorable comment that just like Trump has attacked Venezuela and Iran, so he should look into the Macedonian government because it's also totalitarian, I guess, and corrupt. He started coming up with all sorts of excuses, and people ask him, okay, do you suggest that they kidnapped Mitskovsky, they bombed the country? Months before, they were announcing that, the U.S. the Congress adopted this like an important law that is tied up to the military budget that had comments on the Balkans, which Filipče was saying for months that this would lead to America dismissing the Macedonian government. And now they actually doubled down after the war, but it was so badly received in the public, so they gave up. But I would imagine that the rank and file on the left are so accustomed to follow the U.S. and Dewey especially, like they would actually be more supportive, I think, of the war than people on the right who have some kind of concerns about the U.S. exercising its power against Macedonia in the past decades with the Colored Revolution, with the 2001 war in Macedonia. So people are more wary of the use of American power on the right.
And that's an absolutely legitimate concern from folks on the right, the center right in Macedonia. Yeah, the Colored Revolution in Macedonia that brought Zoran Zaev to power and then eventually ended up in changing the name and threatens the identity of Macedonia was wrong. Full stop. And people feel burned by that, and I get that. Interesting, though, that you say that the left there would feel more supportive of the attacks against Iran, because here, as you probably know, the left is, having conniption fits over it. They're doing their rallies and whatnot, as they do, but I think that's also part of TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome. And that's to be expected. It doesn't matter, if Joe Biden were in office and doing this, I don't know how they would. I think they would still be upset, but they wouldn't feel as strong about it. But it's the reaction of the right, and we've got, the horseshoe theory of politics is that the extreme left and the extreme right meet, basically. If you can imagine a horseshoe, they're at the top of each one. And you've got Candace Owens, who should be in a mental institution, and why am I drawing a blank? Thank you, Tucker. Tucker should also be in a mental institution with her, and a number of other people like that are just gone bonkers, in my opinion. You might feel different about Tucker, but these people are just kind of nuts. But overall polling, and we do have polling here, Republicans by and large support this. MAGA actually by and large supports this, but you've got a small fringe, the Candaces and the Tuckers of this world that do not. They've got and Candace obviously I think is the most outlandish, along with Alex Jones, that have their bizarre theories about, the Israelis killed Charlie Kirk, and that Charlie Kirk is actually a replicant, and it just goes on and on. So, but yeah, and again, as an American, I'm going to have a different opinion about this than you as a Macedonian or Macedonians in general, because my opinion is, and the opinion of many Americans, is that Iran has been at war with the United States since 1979, when they kidnapped our diplomats in the American embassy and held them hostage for 444 days. And then proceeded, once the Islamic Republic of Iran under the Ayatollah Khomeini came into power, they have been at war with the United States and Israel since 1979, calling death to the great Satan. The United States is the great Satan, death to the little Satan, Israel is the little Satan, and then using their proxies throughout the region, including Hezbollah, Hamas, Houthis. Of course, Iran is the biggest state sponsor of terrorism, killing the Marine barracks bombing in Lebanon in 1982 or 3, a little fuzzy on that. But they've killed thousands of Americans and others, and not to mention tens of thousands of their own Iranians throughout the past 47 years. So my position as an American, and the position of many other Americans, is that they have been waging war on us for 47 years. This just happened to be an ideal time to try and bring them down. And I might add, despite whether there's a ceasefire or not, and depending on how long this goes on, I just don't see the Islamic Republic of Iran as quote-unquote winning. I get a kick out of reading the New York Times, and I do read the New York Times occasionally, and CNN, and I do listen to or read CNN occasionally. I get a kick out of them saying Iran is now in a stronger position excuse me, than they were before. This is a bit like Monty Python's Holy Grail, where King Arthur runs into the Black Knight on the road and challenges him to a duel, and a few minutes later, the Black Knight each arm is cut off and each leg is cut off, and he's sitting there his torso is just on the ground. He says, "All right, we'll call it a draw." That's winning for them. But when the New York Times, who has editors and journalists that say that men can get pregnant and that boys can become girls and girls can become boys, when they say that, they lose all credibility with me and right-thinking people. So I cannot believe them. I cannot take them seriously when they say that Iran is winning. I don't know if any of that makes sense, but that's the way I look at it.
I mean, of course, they're not going to bomb New York or Washington. They will not go to this point. A victory would have been sinking an aircraft carrier, which, future history will tell us, did they achieve this? Were they close? How close they got? Was it really a fire?
They're winning on AI, that's for sure. All of our battleships have been destroyed on their AI networks.
No, yeah, but the one carrier had to flee the scene after a, quote unquote fire. Now we'll see.
The truth behind that is that was the Gerald Ford, and it had to put in at Solun, I think, because there was a fire on board related to laundry. It had nothing to do with firepower, fire from Iran. So.
The other victory criteria is just surviving this onslaught against the U.S. Because again, everybody was saying from the start they win by surviving, and they very likely will.
You know who you're quoting right there when you say that.
Don't remember. A lot of people. I've seen a bunch of people
but the most famous one that everybody hates is Henry Kissinger, who in speaking about Vietnam, said the guerrilla wins if he does not lose.
Yeah.
And the United States in that case loses if it does not win. So.
Sure. Yeah. That's looking obvious. Then not in Macedonia internationally, people have been talking a lot about the Suez crisis, like the global superpower whose role is to show that it can control the free movement of ships through the world, that it's the guarantor of the international trade, and this, means that its currency is the currency of the world, the petrodollar. If the country whose, superpower status comes partly because of this feature, that it has the all-powerful navy and can no longer control the Strait of Hormuz, like a vital shipping lane. And the leader is seen as neurotic, anxiously, angrily berating the country who blocked this, but is not able to stop this. Then he has to resort to, threats that he's going to destroy their civilization, etc. The U.S. can come out technically as winner. We killed a bunch of mullahs, ayatollahs, whatever, but we are no longer the, omnipotent guarantor of movement of ships across the world, and a lot of the trade switches into crypto, into Chinese currency, whatever else. So this is also, obviously Egypt did not beat England and France in Suez, but they were never the powers they were after this this military draw. They got to some point and had to withdraw afterwards.
Yeah.
And then you said the timing couldn't have been better. Couldn't this have waited until after the midterms? What was so urgent? Because you may have like 100% of MAGA and 80, 90% of the Republicans, but the GOP was going to lose the midterms anyway. And now it's assured that they're going to be wiped out. And possibly, likely in the Senate as well. And then what do the next 2 years of Trump look like? So we're looking into two, people are concerned here, and we're in, let's say, a small country like Macedonia, which has been infiltrated, overexposed to American influence over the decades. Or I don't know, maybe we've been exposed to the usual amount of U.S. influence like any other country. We're looking into two things. Are you still the superpower after this, or do we now fall under Russia or China or Turkey or someone else? And that's one thing. And at a lower level, are these arrangements we've been making with the Republicans, valid once Trump is, tied up in impeachment hearings and can't advance the domestic agenda and is after the midterms. So.
Sure. Yeah. Let me address those one by one, and those are all valid points. But to start with, the left in the United States and in Macedonia, and frankly around the world, has always complained about the U.S. being the sole superpower, really, and controlling the seas and things like that. So, and then they complain when the U.S. can't keep the Strait of Hormuz open. Well, which one is it? Same thing with the extreme far right in MAGA, especially in MAGA, is that they don't want the U.S. to be around, gallivanting around the world, engaged in foreign affairs. But then they're going to complain when gas prices are high because the U.S. can't keep the Strait of Hormuz open. You get one pick. You don't get to choose both of those. You can't have those both all at the same time. Either you want the U.S. to be the global policeman and the hegemon on the world stage, or you don't. And if you don't, you can't complain when the Strait of Hormuz is closed by a bunch of mullahs with a few drones that are threatening and keeping the Strait of Hormuz closed. That's
No, we want the U.S. to have a politically normal leadership, and this is what we thought we had, and we're seeing it's on the verge of squandering it away for a desert tribal fight, like it's again.
Well, yeah, it's not a desert tribal fight. Again, it goes back to Iran has been the leader, the world's largest sponsor of state terrorism for 47 years. They have been a thorn in the side of countries around the world, including the European countries, certainly America, and certainly Israel. Dialing it back a bit, I wonder if we would be even having this conversation right now if October 7, 2023 had never happened. Because that was Hamas. So the attack on Israel was Hamas. That was Yahya Sinwar, who is now burning in hell. That was his idea. But much of that, if not all of that, was ultimately financed by Iran. And it hasn't turned out well for certainly Yahya Sinwar or the people of Gaza. And again, just to make a point, what is happening to innocents in Gaza, in Lebanon, in Iran, wherever they are, the innocent people, especially the children, the women, the elderly, it's horrible. That happens in any war. That is just the way it works. War kills innocent people. Who started this? Even the war we're talking about right now, without going back to 47 years, Hamas invaded Israel and killed 1,200 people on October 7, raped, murdered infants, elderly. It's horrible. We all know this. We don't have to discuss it. They're the ones that started this, but they were sponsored by Iran. So it's not, going back to your point about a squabble in the desert, it really isn't a squabble in the desert. It's about, and let's just tiptoe into this area before I address the issue of the politics in the United States, which is, again, that's a valid point. Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East. I think that's a pretty plain fact. Surrounded by kingdoms and theocratic regimes and sultanates and blah, blah, blah. And Israel has prospered since its founding in 1948. And it's been interesting to see, and this is something that I think hopefully we can all credit Trump with, the Abraham Accords and mending relations between Israel and the Arab states started actually with Jimmy Carter, who frankly is to blame for allowing the Ayatollah Khomeini back in Iran in 1979. But he started the peace between Israel and Egypt, and then we had the Jordanian, the Oslo Accords with Jordan in 94, I believe it was. Then you had the Abraham Accords. To a large degree, the reason I think October 7 happened was because the Iranians saw the Saudis getting close to Israel and thought that they might join the Abraham Accords, and so they wanted to wreck that, and they certainly did. But as of right now, April 9, all of these Gulf states are siding with Israel, in part because they all hate Iran and because Iran is bombing them and bombing civilian infrastructure in these states. And I think it's worth looking at the fact that Iran is the leader of the Shia Muslims. Saudi Arabia is the leader of the Sunni Muslims. And there's, going back to the death of Muhammad and his successor, this has been the split in Islam for, 1,400 years. And so, and Iran has dreamed of itself being the leader of Muslims around the world. So again, it's not just a squabble in the desert. There's major things at play here. Now, addressing the political angle, especially from the Macedonian standpoint, which is what you have to do, which is what Macedonians want. Siding with the Republicans more or less and the Trump administration. Did it have to be now? Well, you had the banking crisis in Iran in December of last year, which led to the riots, which led to the slaughter of up to 40,000 innocent Iranians by the mullahs. They were weak. We, meaning America and Israel, sensed that they were very weak, and that's why we decided to do it. Which to me would say that Trump is making he's not allowing domestic politics to influence the decision to go to war. He is doing what's right in his eyes in terms of the international political scene and for the safety of Israel, the region, and the rest of the world. That's at least that's my interpretation. Now, going back to the politics here, we'll see. This is April. We got, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. So 7 months, a little less than 7 months before the elections. The American people always vote on their pocketbook. Frankly, people everywhere vote on their pocketbook. It doesn't matter what's going on in the world. There's 7 months is an ocean of time between now and the elections. We'll see what happens. We're going to keep the Senate. I'm sure of that. Trump is incredibly lucky as a human being, and he has dodged many bullets before, literally and figuratively. And things could change depending. The economy isn't doing too bad. Inflation is certainly down from its high of 9.2% under Joe Biden. This is a blip right now with gas prices and other prices being affected by it. I think it's gonna. I think this is going to be over at some point soon. The military side of it as well. I do think that the Iranians at some point whether it's under Reza Pahlavi.
We say Pahlavi. I don't know how it's pronounced.
Yeah, Reza Pahlavi, the crown prince. If he comes back as a transitional figure, but this regime is not going to last. It can't. It won't. I think the economy will get better. I do think, the Republicans could keep the House, even if they don't keep the Senate. There's going to be probably impeachment hearings. That just means gridlock. And in terms of what that means for Macedonia, it means it doesn't mean anything bad. It doesn't necessarily mean anything great. I see that you had there was a team from Macedonia led by the foreign minister in Washington today or these days, a strategic dialogue going on. So I think that's going to continue, whether the Republicans are running the House and the Senate or the Democrats.
No, come on. The Democrats come back. There will be mass arrests at home and abroad. It's going to be a wholesale slaughter of anybody who's affiliated with Trump.
I mean, the Democrats come back. So your dystopian viewpoint there, that would mean you'd have to have a Democrat House, a Democrat Senate, and a Democrat President.
Well, I mean, they tried killing him a couple of times already, so...
That's true, yeah. And looking at our 250-year history, Americans have been successful in killing their presidents. It's happened several times. And
Democrats especially, so...
Yeah, so that's just part of who we are as a people. We're a rambunctious, weird, noisy people, and that's just the way it is. And nothing's going to change that. But the cooperation between... the Defense Department, the State Department, and Macedonia is going to continue, regardless of who is running the House or the Senate. And I think it's worth seeing.
That scares me.
Well, what, the cooperation?
Yeah.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, I get it. That's a fair point. I get it. But I mean, well, number one, that's in the future. One thing I've learned, taking a step way back and looking at life from a 30,000 foot, 10,000 meter perspective, is that often in life, we as humans create these monsters and these boogeymen and these horrible situations in the future that may or may not occur. And so if they do occur, we're going through the pain and suffering of these situations twice. once when we imagine them and once when they happen. If they don't occur, we're putting ourselves through unnecessary pain now in imagining they will happen, and then it turns out they don't happen. Now, the opposite is true in terms of, success, winning the lottery, for instance. You imagine it's going to happen in the future, and so you're euphoric now, and of course it's never going to happen. So, but my point, I guess, in that being that, April 9th, I wouldn't worry about it. This is Easter weekend. Christ has risen. He is coming again. That's good news. That's what I'm going to focus on, at least.
Yeah, okay, this is a higher probability than winning the lottery. That's
it's a 100% probability. So
not this other thing that's going to happen.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah.
That's much more probable, but yeah, we'll see.
The resurrection and second coming of Christ are 100%, but Macedonia going through, and not just Macedonia, it's other countries as well that have to deal with to use a British word, a naughty House and Senate in the United States. So, but we'll see. That's all from the future. So, I think what Macedonia is doing right now, the government of Macedonia is doing right now, in forging these relationships, is good, and it needs to continue. And not just the United States, but other countries as well. So, and transitioning subject here right now to one we talked about offline. Macedonia views Hungary as its biggest partner in the European Union for Macedonian interests, and we have an election on Sunday, April 12th, in Hungary between the Prime Minister Orban and his party, and the split off from his party, Peter Magyar, which is an interesting last name because that means Hungary. So, and he's formed his own party, and we'll see. So, lots of interest in this. J.D. Vance was just there, or he's probably on his way to Pakistan now, but was just there meeting with Orban and others.
I'll be there.
You'll be there? Okay.
Yeah, for what it's worth.
No? Yeah,
it's going to be pivotal. And, speaking of countries which are keenly following where the U.S. right-wing movement goes, far beyond the midterms, is there going to be a credible sovereignist, conservative or right-wing movement in the U.S. to undo the damage of the Obama-Biden years and, insert some sane politics across the world. And, even... so I was there also recently for the CPAC conference, and there were no divisions over the war, because maybe it was still early to tell. Previous CPAC, they had speakers like Ben Shapiro and Jack Posobiec. So there was a little bit of tension in between the right. So you could tell that there are several currents in the right-wing movement, but we were happy that the left is the one that was divided over Gaza, and the right was unified, hinting to the podcast bros, hey, we will stop the war in Gaza. You care about this? Don't vote for Kamala. She did nothing during the Biden years. And now we adopted this huge division into the right-wing camp, and the left is on the sidelines smirking, which is not good politically. But also, we're on the cusp of having all of the Danubian countries from Poland, which has a Orbanite-style president, down to Serbia and Macedonia, Slovakia, Czech Republic, they're all aligned. Slovenia is still counting the votes, so
still
they can go either way.
That was 2 weeks ago?
I think they're lodging complaints. I'm not sure what's the latest, but I think it could still...
Ritniana is going to come back?
No, he lost, but by very narrowly, so it's usually like in all other European countries, it's 15 parties on the left, from the Greens and the Islamists, the other Greens, to the far left and moderate left and the fake moderate right, and they're all against the one sovereignist, populist, national right-wing figure of Orban. So we could have all this, and then Italy's kind of on board, and everybody was looking forward to France voting next year, because every year the Le Pen party gets a little bit closer, and will it finally tip off? And then, of course, you still have Trump, and then possible 2 terms of J.D. Vance in the U.S. So this could all work out beautifully, and we had like Argentina, Brazil, Chile coming over. So this like that meme on Twitter, like glorious future on one hand. On the other hand, Trump gets mired in a quagmire. We start suffering losses in Central Europe, then France never materializes. The UK, who knows, like. So it could go either way. It's all at a knife point, and the biggest issue is, will the U.S. right hold firm, and will it be able to contribute to the right across the world, and will it be focused on this or on other issues? So.
Right. Yeah. Well, we'll see. It's the pendulum goes back and forth. It's you can't. One thing you can predict is that you can't predict the future. There's just no way to do it. But I mean, I'm sitting here in Oro Valley, Arizona, on Thursday morning, April 9th. I'm not too worried about things. But again, I'm looking at things from a different perspective than you are, or Macedonians are. Although I do, having been now with Macedonia for 30 years, I think I know the way the thinking goes there and what people's concerns are, etc. Of course, ultimately, it comes down to the same concerns that people have around the world, basically, which is, can I feed my family? Can I put my kids in school? Can I take a vacation once or twice a year? Will we be safe as a people, as a country? Those are the very basic concerns that most people have, throughout all of time. And there's going to be anxiousness and hesitation and worry here and there, but, by and large, you're not getting attacked by, you, meaning Macedonia, are not getting attacked by Iranian missiles, and you won't. There are not suicide bombers
they're going to try for Albania for sure. There is this CIA base in Albania training militants.
Why haven't they tried it? Why haven't they done it yet, though?
I'm sure they're looking at it, and then, it's just a small misfire.
Yeah.
Well, actually, could mean a rocket on our heads. So
yeah,
we are underneath the flight path. So.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, the Iranian mouthpieces. This is like Baghdad Bob, during Iraq. Everything is fine here. There are no American troops when they're all right behind his back, running back and forth. The Iranians keep saying, no, we have this extra special weapon that we're going to use. Well, why didn't you use it already? We have sleeper cells. The New York Times says they have sleeper cells. Why haven't they been used? I mean, if all of your A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, etc. people are being wiped out and killed, why haven't you used all these things yet? Doesn't make, just from a simple logical standpoint, it doesn't make any sense why they haven't. I don't think they're going to. There's a better chance of an errant missile blowing up the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem, and various missile fragments have come down on the old city in Jerusalem so far. There's a better chance of that happening than them hitting Albania, and then you've got yourself an interesting situation. So.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They've been thoroughly infiltrated. That's a given. Like the Hezbollah pager attacks, which, on the other hand, mean that they're not super capable of carrying out anything like this. On the other hand, raise a lot of questions about October 7th. So this is why, this solidarity appeal to, it's, people are super skeptical about this. I mean, we've seen all these decades of 9/11 stories. October 7th is not helping or October 7th was one thing, but then this other level of display of competence and omnipresence of the U.S. and Israeli intelligence services. We know which floor, which apartment the deputy, molecular physics researcher of the Tehran University's girlfriend is using, so we can zap him. But then, but we didn't know that Hamas is, the most surveilled piece of real estate in the world, that they're preparing something. Yeah, but we're super ready to respond to it when it happens.
Well,
we have the real estate plans already. We have the beachside villas already drawn up.
I mean, I am not, never have been, and never will be a conspiracy theorist. I also believe, this is shocking news, I know for a lot of people, maybe for a lot of people listening, I'm not sure. I do believe the Earth is round, and that there are other bodies, planets out there, and that we do have currently 4 people in a space capsule circling, coming back home, and they will hopefully come back safely tomorrow. So, I do believe we landed on the moon.
I thought they were going to land. It was just like a flyby?
It's a splash. No. Okay. That's next year, Artemis.
I demand a refund. But you're doing this? I mean, you're doing this?
What?
Somebody's doing this next year?
It's scheduled for next year, I believe, to land. Yeah.
Seriously? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're going to start putting supplies on the moon to build a moon base.
Mm-hmm.
And then, anyway. So going back to your point on the questions, and sure, there's always new questions, but all right, I got to get to the office. I still work today.
Yep.
You need to.
This is still going to be a Macedonian podcast in the next episode, I guess.
Oh, it is. We've talked about the reaction and things like that. So we need to not skip 2 months, but again, we're doing 200 next time, so we got to come up with something exciting. I don't know. I think we're kind of abandoning the idea of doing this not live but video. And that's fine.
It's doable, I guess.
It's doable.
I'll be reporting in video if the missile headed for Albania hits us eventually.
But people can, if it's just audio, people can listen to it on their Walkmans.
Yeah. Or burn it on a DVD-ROM and CD-ROM and listen to it.
Or a laser disc.
Yeah. Whatever the young ones are doing now.
Yeah. All right, let's call that a wrap. To all of our listeners, hopefully, it's mostly Macedonians, I believe. A very happy Easter with family and friends. Christos Voskrese, Navastina Voskrese. And we'll get together again in another couple of weeks.
Absolutely. Take care, buddy.
All right, you too.